Hey guys, this is the liquid update for February 20th, Thursday. Going to be starting off going over some ES, and we'll go from there. It was a pretty interesting day. Unfortunately, what I thought might happen happened, and I'll go over that and then where I think we can kind of go from here. So let's get started. This was yesterday. We hit almost near new all-time highs on ES, but and as I mentioned, SPY and QQQ had hit new all-time highs. But why was I nervous? Because a lot of the Mag 7 names, like Magnificent 7, so names like NVDA, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, so on and so forth, we're just not acting that great. And, it kind of surprised me that we were moving up on, the S&P so well with a lot of these, big names not performing well. So, what I also knew was that this week is OPEX week, with tomorrow's OPEX, options expiration for the month of February. And it's also the VIX-piration was this week. So again, VIX-piration and OPEX, when there's big positions being closed, a lot of the things that support the market could potentially fall apart. And that's where, you get big drops or a lot of volatility. I talked about this a bit in the newsletter, but it's something that I'm always aware of. Like I try to trade less those weeks generally. Pretty much not trade at all during those weeks, probably for the most part. But it's sometimes there's still some interesting action, and today I'll show you like where you could have made some really great returns without having come in with anything today. So just starting off again, I talked about this trend line here, which this was after the breakout above this whole DeepSeek gap down that happened a few weeks ago. This pink area was where this is where we closed that Friday before the DeepSeek drop, and then this is where we opened that Sunday night after the DeepSeek drop. So this was like an important area for me to see us kind of reclaim and hold above. And so then after we finally broke out above that last week, I just wanted to see how we'd trend, right? So on Tuesday, we opened up a bit higher and then dropped lower and then rallied again. So I basically just drew simply a trend line from the high of this one to the high here, the low of this one to the low here. And then I wanted to see how, we'd perform, because it formed what looks like a megaphone here. So that means that we could see some range expansion. So once we got up here, I'm like, okay, this is time for me to put on some short just to protect myself. Of course, we could continue to go higher, but it's very possible that we test the bottom of this megaphone range before we eventually, hopefully, go higher. Of course, we could drop lower, and break down. That's very possible. But this was I'll just take it day by day right now and want to see us, get away from this whole pink area as much as we can. But what happened today? We overnight kind of dripped a bit lower, and then boom, this was right as we opened, we saw some big drops. So there's some good news before market, like Baba announced earnings, and they actually the trade worked out. I still had some Baba on, and I closed it right at the open. I think it got up to 144. I might have missed like the last few dollars on it, but it then dropped to like 130s or something like that. But everything kind of fell today. And where did it fall to? First, let me just kind of stretch this out a little bit. First, it fell to where else? That support level from that trend line that I had drawn, which is also this, one of these key levels, like around 615, that we had kind of, played with in the past few weeks. But what I also said yesterday was that I wouldn't be surprised if we dip below this trend line and kind of bounce up. And I said we could probably go even to 6100, or that was the what's that called, the 20 SMA, which I'll show you on the chart as well, that we could get there. And so again, zooming back out, you look here, this is the bottom of that DeepSeek gap. right? So I was like, okay, let's see if we can hold that. Let's see if it has any significance. It also has a significance of being an even number to the 6100 level. So maybe it's a psychological thing. Maybe it's just algorithms like programmed to buy at that area. But I said, I won't buy here because I just feel like it might be a trap. But maybe down here. That's what I put in my newsletter. And so I started adding some longs here. I got really lucky. I had my names of stocks that have been hot and I've been wanting to get into at some point on a pullback. So Palantir was one of those. Tempest AI, one of Nancy Pelosi's buys, was another one of them. And NVDA I also bought because I thought, we have earnings next week. I think it's going to run higher into earnings, and the market needs that NVIDIA to act better for us to push even higher. Didn't know exactly that this was going to work out. It could have failed and all that, but I put some on and took a chance there. And what happened is that we kind of bounced up, hit some more of this resistance levels. I wanted to see us get above this blue line. I thought that was a bit ambitious. Just this blue line is that 200 SMA on the 15-day moving average. And wanted to see if we can get above that. And we didn't get quite there, but we got close. So we bounced off this 6100 level, then got to this area which was that trend line again, that red trend line. Broke down and below it, kept like bouncing around there. So I was like, this is a big fight. I was also worried a little bit that this could be forming a bear flag. So a bear flag is when you have a drop and then you consolidate sideways, that usually means something's going to go down even further. So I wanted to see us kind of get some momentum to the upside. Around noon, we got this nice bar here, push things up. I think there was maybe some Fed speakers or things like that coming out, but I was just watching the action primarily just to see how it'd react. And, again, tried to break through, back down again here. And then we eventually started grinding up as the day went on. Now, are we out of the clear now just because we bounced and we held again and the market's resilient? Possibly, but I'm also still a bit nervous because this is still a bear flag right here. So when you go down and it kind of climbs up like this, we could drip lower again. That's why I wanted to see us get back above this blue line, which is my intraday bull bear line. So until we do that, I'm still a bit nervous. Tomorrow is that OPEX day. A lot of strange stuff can happen. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, the strange stuff happened the day before and like the Friday is very quiet. Anything's possible. I saw something else that was kind of funny or scary or whatever you want to call it, but someone posted this image, which is tomorrow is Friday OPEX, Friday 21st at 9 a.m. So you can see that this was, right before COVID. We had quite a big sell-off after that, if you might remember. And they're kind of drawing the comparable to that time. Again, hoping that bird flu or something like that doesn't cause us to drop like this, and hope it's just a coincidence. But there's a lot of what do we call FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt being thrown around on Twitter about this. And again, I won't feel better about the market until those big names, the Mag 7 names, start acting better. So let's hope. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow, if we just kind of chop around and kind of stay in this zone, I'd actually feel pretty good. I just don't want to see us break down even lower than this. Cool. And let's go to the trading view. Let me pull that up. So pull that up. Here. Okay. All right. So what I was talking about today, this is today's candle right here. We opened up here right in the middle of the sweet spot range, and then we dropped all the way to the 20 SMA, like I was mentioning in my newsletter. And so I was like, okay, let's see if we hold there. That's, I didn't want to buy right at the 8 EMA. I also mentioned this cup and handle pattern. So the other day I was like, okay, we kind of forming a cup, and then we dipped here that day, and we bounced and kept going higher. I was like, that seems too easy. And yep, the market has a way of making things harder than it should be. But we dropped here, and now this seems like a pretty solid handle. We could go all the way here, or maybe we don't break out. But I feel like this was like a nice needed flush that we got today, even though it wasn't that big. So don't think like that was like the end of the craziness. This is like a very small drop in comparison to what could happen. Like I always talk about this 200-day moving average. This could be an eventual target for a larger correction if that happens. Maybe if there's bad news, or inflation keeps going up or something like that. I don't know, but not worrying about that right now until we're just taking it day by day. So don't get scared about anything just yet until like we break critical levels. So yeah, we held that and recovered. We actually we got and back into the sweet spot kind of there too. Let's check out QQQ. QQQ, which is the tech-focused ETF. We grinded all the way to the top of the sweet spot this week, hit our head yesterday, and pulled back to like right around the top third of that sweet spot range. Then gapped down, dripped below the 8 EMA, and then actually recovered nicely. We're back in the middle of the sweet spot. So can't be too bearish if you're in that sweet spot zone. If we break that, we break this 20-day, then I'll start getting a little more nervous. 50-day for sure. But for now, it's just healthy consolidation after like a pretty impressive move. Yeah. So again, my going back to ES for a second, my plan is the same as before. Just make sure that we hold the 8-day and the 20-day. Try not to break the lows from yesterday, ideally, and maybe we can make a push back up to the top of the sweet spot. I personally don't think this is going to happen until after NVIDIA earnings. I think maybe that's a pretty big potential turning point for the market. Either we break out to the upside, or we drop. But I feel pretty good about it. But you just never know. Sometimes you can have an amazing report and it's just not amazing enough, and that can bring down the whole market. So definitely pay attention to NVIDIA earnings next week. So let's look at NVIDIA real quick. So this is one of the names that I bought on the dip today. As you can see, I saw it, this like, I'm like obsessed with the confluence of moving averages. I think they're a great time to buy. So I saw the 8-day and the this is the 100-day kind of converging there, and I'm like, okay, like we pulled back there. Earnings are next week. I think people are going to want to be in. Hadn't pulled back that much, but I sold some, up in this range right here. So like, why not add some more back? Again, still looks pretty good. I love this. This is called a dragonfly doji, where it's like it dipped pretty big, and then buyers stepped in big time to close it much higher. So that's a nice candle to see after a couple days of red. Let's look at Meta. Meta's been a bit trickier. It's a hot name. Everyone thought it's going straight to 800 or whatever. I was a bit nervous. I bought some here at the 8-day. That was I just had some FOMO, wanted to get back in, and then it got all the way to the 20-day. Is this a potential turning point for it? Maybe, hopefully. I bought some more here, but we'll see. Tesla, total pain. Still looking okay, going sideways here, but this to me is looking a little sketchy. Again, I'd like to see it close strong tomorrow, especially with you may notice on Friday's end of day, or just throughout the day, there might be like crazy buys come in or crazy sells come in, and that's just part of options expiration week. Like that could happen with. I want to see Tesla get like a 20-point day, and then I'll feel like, okay, that name is gonna start cooking now, gonna have some momentum. Let me go over a couple other names I bought. Palantir had this huge drop yesterday on the Pentagon. Something about the Pentagon cutting budget, the White House asking the Pentagon to cut budgets by 8%. That dropped right as we hit the top of the sweet spot on ES. We pulled back beyond the 20 SMA today. saw this and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna add some here. This is like a pretty massive drop from 125 all the way to 90, 95 in less than a few hours in trading. Like, let me start some. Sure, I could go and fill this gap here, which is around, 82, 84. But I'm like, let me just start some. I don't need to, I'm not buying like short dated, like, expiring this week options. I'm buying them, a month or two out at least. So yeah, I mean, I had a great bounce. I sold some. I think I had like 50% return on those contracts same day. So probably will sell them tomorrow if we get, hopefully we get a push up to the 8 day, and then I can sell them. NBIS, another name that's gotten some steam because it was on some of those 13Fs that came up from those big funds. Some people say this is the next TEM Tempest move. I'd played it. I've played it a lot. It was showing up on my screener a lot in the past few months. I saw it drop all the way to almost to the 20 day. I got some, sold it today. I think made like a few $1,000 on 10 contracts, and it was great for a day trade. So didn't need to come in with it. Started the day fresh with that, and open and close the position that day. Let's go to a couple more. RXRX is a total spec name. NVIDIA is an investor in them. Saw it touch the 8 day. I got alerted. I sold some here around 12 the other day. So I'm like, okay, buying it back. These are pretty cheap options, but this name did pretty decently if when it first came out. It was like all the way up to 15, 16 range. It's had these pops before, so I'm hoping that we get one of those kind of squeezes up to the 16 level again, and I'll sell some there. Broadcom, this one got some news about like Apple discontinuing to use them as a partner sooner than expected, potentially. I saw that, and let me see if I can pull up the chart on it. What I kind of saw and where I buy. Sometimes I tend to buy ugly, as I mentioned sometimes. And today, right here. So this is the 15-minute chart. This is everything that happened today. So I saw AVGO, kind of dripping lower, and then I saw this candle come out, and I'm like, okay, these candles is like, for me, like for a strong name, I love to buy on those, because usually this is like what I call a stop loss trade. They try to get people out and take all their shares. They stop you out, and then they run it back up. So yeah, I bought some today. Not saying it's out of the woods. I'd love to see it get back above this 200 SMA on the 15-minute chart, like how I show with the ES. That's a pretty critical bull bear line. But it's a name that's related to NVIDIA. I feel like if NVIDIA has good earnings, or like gets a run up into earnings, Broadcom can as well. But yeah, it's been a pretty tough name. But if you can look here in the daily chart, this is since earnings last time. It's been great. Like, it's just been, in this range. It's a huge range in terms of like pure dollars, like 40, $50. But you could play it throughout here right now, and it's not falling down and filling this gap. That's what's encouraging to me. If it has bad earnings, maybe, or if NVIDIA sucks, then maybe it would fill that gap. But for now, it's doing what it needs to do right here, letting the 50-day moving average kind of catch up to it. And you see this little cluster of moving averages. If we pop up above that, you can start moving again. Marvel, another name in that similar vein, gapped up on earnings, kind of going sideways, been choppy. Had this huge drop on the DeepSeek fear, popped up here, got rejected. Been a tough one. I'm like still in some, I think, May calls or something like that. But it's a name that gapped up for a reason on earnings. Had great news there. So let's see if it starts performing a bit better. A couple more. Tempest. This is the one I talked about, that momentum name that's been like crazy since Nancy Pelosi announced her position. I think that was like this day or something. It's been just like riding up in the sweet spot range since then. But I've been playing it, but every time it gets to the top of sweet spot, I sell it, and then I buy it back at the bottom. Today, it broke below it. it's, could have waited to the 20 SMA, but these names that are super strong, you can't be perfect with them if you want to get involved. I just figured buyers would step in a lot earlier than the 20 SMA, and they did. So it's another name I bought and sold on the push up from, didn't even go green on the day, but I made money just because I bought it near the bottom. So 72 to, what did it close at, 76-ish? Yeah, $4. It's pretty good. Snow. Gosh, this is one that really annoys me. But again, still looks good. It's just that, I was like, man, is this going to break out before earnings? Earnings are next week. It's kind of has that look. It's forming a cup and all that. I'm like, never that easy. Boom, they just drop it 3 days in a row. It was like, I remember pre-market that day, I think it was like green by like a crazy amount. I was like, what is going on here? Was there news that came out? It got like an upgrade. Let me see if I can show that on here. Yeah, I think it was right here. I know that's Friday. Yeah, Tuesday. So we look at this. So we started running up on Tuesday. I think they got an upgrade from some random fund, and then just look at that. This is like why I say there's always too much effery in the market. Boom, looks like it's gonna explode today, and then what happens right at the open? This is the open right here. Boom, drops like $6. So what they do, the reason why they do this is, I talk about like market makers, like it's a tinfoil conspiracy or something like that. But there's something to it. There's something going on where they don't want to make it easy on people. So it dropped and broke down below the sweet spot range, below the 8-day, below the 20 SMA, all the way to this is called the sour spot range. Actually, it's like the inverse of kind of the sweet spot range. Held there. Kind of seems like a solid support area. Again, strong action to almost go green. Get back above the 20 SMA. Earnings next week. Anyone who got in too early for earnings and wasn't taking some profit along the way got hurt. So anything that I was holding, my trailers got hurt, but hopefully by earnings time it kind of pops up and pays off better. But yeah, a little frustrating action, but that happens. This is part of the game. Can't be perfect. Baba, insane. Been riding it pretty much since, I think, once across the 200-day, like 84. Just been buying, selling, and then like when I started to see it get some crazy momentum where buyers are stepping in, I started just holding positions. I decided I would hold something into earnings. Very scary if you look at this RSI right here, this is a relative strength index. When it gets above this like 70 range, starts getting a little dangerous. 80 is like super dangerous, but when a name has momentum, like you can never say it's too high. But for me, I was like, I'm gonna take profit on the gap up on the open. And what happened? It opened here, spiked up a bit more. So I think I sold it around like 142 or something like that. I was like happy with that. Got to 144, missed out on a few bucks, but then dropped all the way to 130. Then popped up decently, 135 into the close. So I'd like to see this kind of just chop around a little bit, sideways for a bit. If it gets back to the 8-day, that'd be amazing. I'd load up. I think the China market's gonna, really outperform this year. So again, unless barring any geopolitical stuff. CrowdStrike. Again, I highly recommend you look at charts and then find out the names that are just like super strong. CrowdStrike, I've been waiting for an opportunity to buy. I was like trading it. I was part of this candle. I think I sold some like right in here all the way up to like 410, somewhere around there. Not perfect, but like I got a lot of this move. Then bought some here, sold it here, and then it just kind of kept grinding too high. Never gave me like the pullback I wanted to the 8-day. I never got alerted on it, and then today saw it go down to the 20 SMA. I bought some right here. So it just really helps to have that list of names for on those big red days. That's when you want to buy. especially, I've had some friends reach out, they want to start, a fund for their kids, college fund, things like that. I don't recommend doing options for those, but for buying stocks, keep an eye on those strong names. Like a friend was asking, hey, should I buy some Palantir? I'm like, this was before that news came out, like literally right before. I'm like, oh, this might be a sign to get short that name. Um, but yeah, I was like, wait for it, and once you have your orders ready, you can um, hopefully put limit orders out there, and they get filled at compelling levels. Last one I want to talk about is one I got totally wrong. Um, I wasn't patient with it. I'm not letting it me up, below it. Um, Maybe this is some support here with the bottom of the sour spot range, but I'm not planning to add any more until it gets its act together and starts turning up. So yeah, it happens. Not happy about that one, but again, try not to be perfect. Just try to be more right than wrong. Um, cool. So yeah, ES. Just let's just keep an eye on things and make sure that we are just trending in the right direction and stay in that above the 8 EMA. And if we break below it, I'll provide an update on what to do next. But yeah, so far so good. It's been resilient. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Thanks, guys.